the Great Watching Chamber at Hampton Court Palace to take a look at how Queen Elizabeth I is depicted in her famous rainbow portrait costume.
We will never know if the ensemble as shown in the portrait actually existed, and Queen Elizabeth is unlikely to have sat for the portrait, but the component parts of the costume may have existed. They may have been owned by Queen Elizabeth, and they may have been part of her everyday dress. The rainbow portrait is allegorical. It shows the Queen as a goddess, otherworldly, vibrant, youthful, and totally in control. As she got older, Queen Elizabeth cultivated a certain image to enforce her power, and this costume does that for her brilliantly.
So Hilary, you're already wearing your underwear of the period, the first layer, which is the linen shift.
Yes, that's right. A linen shift would be the only layer worn next to the skin.
So Hilary, on top of your linen shift, you're also wearing your stays, or a pair of bodies, referred to in the plural because originally they would be two pieces, two sides, laced together in the middle. The stays are made from linen and stiffened with whalebone, and the whalebone is cartilage from the jaw of the baleen whale.
So these might look like corsets, but they're not called that in this period. They're called bodies or stays, and their purpose is different to that of a corset. So with a corset, you might get drawn in and be made smaller. These just fit quite snugly on your natural frame, and then they go to this point here to create the very fashionable cone shape.
Next we have the bum roll, or the bum pad. We're going to tie this round Hilary's waist and attach it with these little ribbons on the side of the stays. These are designed to hold the weight of the skirts up and out and to create a really fashionable silhouette. So how does it feel to wear this?
Well, it feels quite interesting to be wider than I actually am. I guess Elizabeth might have felt powerful being so wide. And you can also rest your forearms on the bum pad here because it is nice and secure with these ties. And also the bum pad will keep the skirts away from your legs.
The next layer we're going to add is the linen petticoat.
So Elizabeth might have worn a linen petticoat like this as her first layer, or of course the more expensive silk.
We're now going to add this beautiful red wine petticoat, and as we start to add more layers to this ensemble, you'll start to see the wide silhouette becoming more and more apparent.
The petticoats can't actually be seen in the rainbow portrait. So the costume team, they decided to make it quilted or padded, and that fills out the shape, as you can see here.
So now we're going to add the top layer skirt. You can see that it's this beautiful floral design, and it's going to go on the same way as the petticoats over Hilary's head, and it will secure with ties around the back.
This layer also can't be seen in the rainbow portrait, so the costume team decided to make it of the same material as the sleeves. So you'll see that the pattern is this lovely intricate floral design, and then there is this sort of scrolling tendril of gold as well. And these motifs are reminiscent of the embroidery that you can see in the rainbow portrait.
So next we've got your bodice, Hilary. We're just going to fasten it with hooks and eyes up the front.
The bodice is full of this beautiful embroidery. There are actually 78 motifs, and it took the costume team 65 days to reproduce them by hand. So it's incredibly labour intensive, and if this did exist, any onlooker seeing Elizabeth wearing it would know that she was extremely wealthy indeed.
Absolutely. And what about on the sleeve here? We've got a very special piece of applique embroidery. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, we do. So the Elizabethans, they were fascinated by symbols and the meaning of motifs. And in 1586, there was a book published called A Choice of Emblems, and the book was used to encode the meaning onto garments. So on the left sleeve here, you see this wonderful, wonderful snake. So the snake represents knowledge, intelligence, and you can see here at the top, it has a heart-shaped jewel hanging from its mouth, and that represents mercy. It seems that the snake was actually a separate piece of jewellery that was owned by Queen Elizabeth. The Stowe inventory describes it as jewels mounted onto a metal base.
It's such a shame that none of Elizabeth's dresses do still survive today. However, we do have the Bacton altar cloth.
Yes.
The Bacton altar cloth was some embroidered cloth that was discovered in a church in Bacton in 2015.
Yes,
yeah. Am I right, Hilary, in saying that the embroidery on the Bacton altar cloth resembles the costume that's in the rainbow portrait with its floral designs?
Yes, it absolutely does. And the Bacton altar cloth has been dated to the 1590s, so that's bang on our period for this costume.
Now, of course, the outfit wouldn't be complete, Hilary, without the Elizabethan staple, the ruff, linen and lace, and stiffened with starch. And this is just going to go on around your neck like a collar.
There's actually 5 ruffs on this costume. So there's 2 at the wrists here. Then you've got this ruffle along here. Then you have these 2. You have this standing ruff, and then this small choker ruff.
So, here we have a beautiful Elizabethan outfit fit for Hampton Court Palace. So as we said, we don't know whether the costume existed, but we think that it was designed for a masque. So on top of this, we are also going to add this beautiful orange taffeta mantle with hand-painted eyes and ears.
In 1602, Elizabeth visited the home of her Lord Privy Seal, who was Robert Cecil, and she was presented with a mantle, maybe even one that was exactly like this. He also put on lavish entertainments, of course. There was one called a shrine to Astrea, and he may well have commissioned the rainbow portrait for that visit. The rainbow portrait has a Latin inscription, which is non sine sole iris, which means no rainbow without the sun. So that is why there is this glorious orange colour here. In Elizabeth, she shines like the sun. The eyes and ears show that Elizabeth is omnipresent. She sees everything and she hears everything.
Next, we have these incredible wings. What do they symbolise?
These wings, or whisk is another name for them, they represent Elizabeth's heavenly knowledge and her divine power. This is a time when people believed in the divine right to rule, that she ruled England because God had put her there.
I'm just attaching the wings, tying them on with these ribbons that are already attached to the bodice.
The veil is made with a metallic thread running through it. In the rainbow portrait, you see this very shiny material and a checked design, so the metal threads would be going both ways, and that is synonymous with veils of the period.
Next, we have your jewellery.
Yes, and pearls are perfect for Queen Elizabeth because they represent purity, so appropriate for the Virgin Queen.
And we've also got these beautiful rosettes made from the same orange taffeta as the mantle.
So that's it. I'm finished now, apart from hair and makeup. I feel magnificent. Hope I look magnificent.
You look absolutely magnificent.
Thank you. I'm ready to go and rule the country.